please. Just firstly, just to clear up the situation with Anthony Martial, you said he refused to travel to Aston Villa. He subsequently said he would never refuse to play for Manchester United. Who is telling the truth on that?
Well, I said all that needs to be said about that after the game. I nominated him before the game, and he was not part of the group. You can draw your own conclusions out of that. I had a conversation with him on Sunday about all this, and now for me, from my perspective, everything has been spoken about, is being resolved, and no need to add anything on top of that.
And can I just ask you about Jadon Sancho as well? But before you came to Manchester United, you said that he was one of the most exciting young talents in Europe with his pace, his ability to beat players with assists. It's not working out for him at the moment at Manchester United. From your experience and from working with him for the last 6 weeks, why is that the case?
Difficult to say. I think it's a different league. It's a different competition. It's more physical. It's more pressure. Although he also played for one of the biggest clubs in Germany, in Dortmund. But I think in total, the whole league, the whole competition is more physical. And the level of expectation is higher. When he came to Borussia Dortmund as a young player, he was only 18. Now he's 23, 24, playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. I think it's also got to do with a lot of with the things up here in his head. But in training, whenever I see him train, he's showing up. He's one of the best players in the training sessions. But now it's about the transfer to when he's playing and to showing the same kind of level and performance on the pitch.
Daniel Lucas. Hi, Ralf. Just on the topic of players' futures, Jesse Lingard's out of contract in the summer as well. There have been times this season where people have felt he should have had more chances from the start. Is he not getting chances as a starter at the moment because it seems unlikely that he will stay at the club next season?
Well, for me, it's important that we win always the next game that we are playing. And it's also a question of formation, which is the best possible position for players. We have now decided to play in a 4-3-3, like we played against Aston Villa, with one holding six, with 2 8s, with 3 offensive players. And for Anthony, there are 2 positions that he can play, but we also have some competition on those positions. And obviously, he needs to play and train on a kind of level that he is an option to start. We have a big squad, maybe a little bit too big of a squad, and as far as I know, his contract is expiring in the summer, and the question is what will happen after that 4 months. Again, he's a player who can play. I brought him on in the last 10 minutes of the Villa game, together with Donny van de Beek, and he will probably not be available for tomorrow because he didn't train yesterday and the day before yesterday. He will probably also not train today because he has an issue with his ankle. This is what I can say to that.
Chris Wheeler?
Yes, hi Ralf. Just on Sancho again. Obviously, that you saw firsthand in Germany what Jadon can do. What was he doing then that he's not doing now, and how can you help to bring that back?
I mean, it's with those kind of players, with those kind of creative, offensive players, it's all about confidence, about having the confidence, being aware how good they can be, and then showing it in front of 75,000 or 40,000, 45,000 at Villa Park. And this is... of course, in the end, he has to do that. He has to take that step again. In training, as I said, in most training sessions, he's training on a very high level, and now it's about having the transfer onto the pitch in the league competitions, in the Premier League, in the FA Cup, and in the Champions League. That he can do that he has the ability to do that, there is no doubt about that. But now we have to develop him into that kind of player, showing the same kind of performances that he showed in most of the games in at Borussia Dortmund.
Paul Hurst.
Hi, Ralf. Just on Jadon again, he's been moved around the pitch under previous managers, and no one seems to really know what his best position is. Do you have an idea on that, or is it still something You've got to decide whether he plays on left or
Here in a 4-3-3, he's a player for either of the two wing positions, either left or right. He can play both. I think he would prefer a little bit the left side because he can then switch inside and have a go on goal or shoot on goal with his strong right foot. But for me, it's no question, no doubt about his position. He's a winger. He's, as we say in Germany, somebody who can dribble fast with the ball. And for me, it's not at all a question of which is the best possible position for him.
Laurie Whitwell.
Hi, Ralf. I know you said that you've got a big squad, but I just wondered, do you think there's any opportunity in this January window to reshape it a little bit, perhaps with some players going out and one or two coming in, or do you think that's unlikely?
Well, I have spoken to quite a few of those players who don't get enough game time, and I can fully understand the players. If I was the player myself, or if I was the father or the agent of the player, I would also not be happy about not playing regularly or not playing at all. But again, it takes two things. One is that the player wants to leave. Then we also need clubs who really can offer them a contract and a better perspective to play. And then there also still needs to you need to find an agreement between the two clubs. So, as I said, I can fully understand some of our players who would like to get more game time, and they are capable to get more game time at other clubs. And I wouldn't interfere. They would have even my blessing if they would want to leave. But in the end, it's a question of other issues also that need to be resolved.
We've got the final two questions. The first for Neil Costas and the last one for James Ducker.
Ralf, I know you've spoken in the past about it being pointless playing players who want to leave the club. It's clear Paul Pogba does, because his contract's coming up, he hasn't signed another one. Is there any point in playing him when you look into the future?
I mean, yes, of course. I also played ManUtd now in the last games, and his contract is also expiring. By the way, my contract as a manager is also expiring in the summer. So for us, we have the same goal, we have the same ambition to be as successful as we can possibly be in the next 3 or 4 months. So for me, it's not a question if a player has an expiring contract. The question is, how much does he still wants to be part of this group? How much does he still feel emotionally and physically on board? And as long as this is the case, why shouldn't the Paul Pogba now, after 2.5 months of injury, being fully fit again now? And he also wants to show up. He wants to show the fans of Manchester United, the board, the whole world, what kind of player he can be. And even if it's for only to showing up for a new contract elsewhere, I mean, he will be highly motivated to do that. And why shouldn't I then not play him? But as I said, there is a difference of how do players deal with their current situation? How do they handle that? And if they handle that in a professional way, in an ambitious way, of course I can and will play players, although they have a contract expiring in the summer.
Last one for James Ducker.
Hi, Ralf. The audio on your first response on Jadon Sancho cut out, but I did catch the last bit of it, which you said there may be an issue perhaps in his head, and I was just wondering, do you think, given the fee he came for and the expectation and the pressure around being a Manchester United player, that Jadon is having difficulty dealing with that element of the game?
Well, as I said, it's a difference if you come as an 18-year-old, unknown, English, talented boy to Borussia Dortmund, and from then on you can only improve, you can only make a success out of that. The level of expectation was a lot lower compared to the situation when at the age of 23 you come to a club like Manchester United for a high transfer fee with a high level of expectation. Everybody expected from him that he would be one of the best players in the team. And again, this is psychologically, emotionally a more challenging situation than the one he had at Borussia Dortmund. And this is exactly those kind of steps that he has to make to become a top player for the next 10 years for this club. We can give him the guidelines, we can give him helping hands and showing him that we are trying to accompany him on this way and give him all the necessary assistance that he needs. But in the end, it's up to him to take those next steps. As I said, for me, it's not at all a question of his position. His position is left or right winger. This is his best possible position. But again, it's not only about training on the highest possible level. I said that to him, by the way, the day before yesterday. Confirm the performances you show in training when you're playing on the pitch.